Okay, thanks for sticking with me, guys. I've got one more to go. And this is the final thing. And so that is the pie thrown in your face. And I bet you're thinking, because we're in the library, that I'm not going to throw a pie in someone's face, but I totally am. So I'm going to have Carly come up here. And you need to give her a round of applause, not because she's getting a pie thrown in her face, but because she is the organizer of our GRITS series that we have all throughout the year. And so she does a lot of work to make sure that these things happen. So she does deserve applause for that. And she's going to get a pie in her face. Okay. And I'm going to let her have a garbage bag so she doesn't get it on her clothes. But her face, there's a reason that I'm doing this, and it's not just to be mean. Well, it's kind of to be mean, but I want you to have a visceral reaction when you see slides that have too much on them. When you put too many slides or too much information on your slides, this is what you are doing to your audience. You cannot eat an entire pie at once, and you cannot do slides all at once. So you're going to be sitting here in the Student Research Symposium, and you're going to see these slides, and you're going to say, oh my goodness, that's a pie in my face. Or you're going to see other people looking at your slides, and you're going to feel really, really guilty because that's what you did. You put a pie in their face. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. There are fixes for this, though. And the fixes are the easiest of all. It is delete, delete, delete. Take what you've done, and then delete. Okay, and there's 3 different ways that you can do this. Create modular layouts, use progressive disclosure, and then keep deleting, more deleting. This is the cheap fix. For those people that refuse to delete anything, what you need to do if you're just not going to do it, you're not going to go there, you're not going to negotiate these items, is you need to at least make sure that they are arranged in a pleasing manner. So here's an example of Collaborators, of a slide of which I have my own opinions on anyway. But she created a very eclectic mix of the people that she works with on her research. Instead of showing each one and having each one take its own disparate, weird place on the slide, what we decided to do was pull one of the slides out to show the collaboration, and then as a group include the collaborators. So instead of having it be 8 objects that you have to pay attention to, if nothing else, it's a quantity issue. And you see, oh, Vonda's great because she's working with these 7 other wonderful USC research colleagues on her stuff. Okay, level 2, use progressive disclosure. And that's if you have a lot on your slide. For instance, some of these slides that I've done, they've had a bit on them to be able to show the relationship between the 4 different sections. But you show them only as much as they can take a bite of at a time. Here is one from Susanna French, and she's got a lot on here. So we didn't let her keep all of this. We weren't even going to go there. But we took just this comic right here, and we placed it on a single slide. It is still a lot, and it's a funny slide. It's a lot to digest quickly. And she spent some time on this. She had about 30 seconds to go through this comic. We don't. But what we did was instead we divided it up so she could talk about different portions at a time. So you can get comfortable with the axis of what happens on vacation. Here's your stress level, here's time, the yellow part is your vacation. And then she chunked it up into different parts. Here's where your stress goes up before the vacation. Here's all the ups and downs that happen when you're on vacation as you decide you need to check your email, and then you do check your email, and then you relax again, and then you realize you got to go back. And then here's what happens as soon as you come back and you realize that your inbox is more full than you'll ever be able to address. Finally, continue to delete. Almost always, you've got more on your slides than you need. And you can include that. It doesn't have to be a mistake. They can be part of your process. You can start by filling up your slides with your whole paper, as long as you continue deleting until you get mouthfuls, bite-sized examples. Here is one from Susanna French again. All of these photos relate to this graph. She's talking about immunity during times of reproduction. And so she's got all of these lovely mommies and pregnant people and all of that on here, but it's taking away from her point. And the point is very simply this: the immunity goes down while you're in a reproductive phase. And all of the photos, even though they are related, they're not helping her to make her point. And when you isolate that point, it's going to be that much easier, and it's going to be easier for the person, for the viewers to listen to what she has to say. Okay, here's the last one. This is going to be the most controversial of what I suggest, and there are some things that people do not want to get rid of in their PowerPoint presentations. I'm returning back to what you're going to see when you open PowerPoint. It is worthwhile to have a very serious conversation with every single element that comes on this master slide and decide whether you need it or not. Do you really need a title? Maybe you do, and maybe it helps your slide organization, but you should ask every single time, does this title need to be here? Is there really any use for having the date on every single slide? Most people think so because they're planning to use their slides as handouts, which you shouldn't do anyway. But no one sitting here in this room is going to forget the date while they're here. Do you really need your name on every single slide that you have here? You do if you're using them for handouts, but you shouldn't use them for handouts. You don't need to use your precious real estate to make sure everyone remembers your name, or even more so, everyone remembers your institution. Include it at the beginning, include it at the end, but you're paying a cost in real estate if you decide you need to have it on every single slide. Same thing with slide numbers. Is it the only thing that I can think of that makes it useful? And I've done this. For years, I included slide numbers on my page, is so people know how long it is until you're done. And that's probably not a good reason to include slide numbers. Almost everyone includes an acknowledgement slide at the end of their presentation. You've got to ask yourself why you're doing it. If you're doing it because you think it's going to create a good network connection with people that are at your professional conference, that's a good reason. If you know that there's going to be none of that happening and you just feel like you have to mention them, then maybe it's more important to include them in your narrative than include a list of credits at the end of your PowerPoint presentation. This is the one that drives me the most nuts overall, is the question slide. A presentation should end making the audience feel like this or even like this. And yet, 80% of the time, we decide that we want to end a presentation like this. And even more so, we end it with these faceless, sad, forlorn clip art. What is going on here? I don't know. That's not the lasting impression you want people to leave your presentation with. So don't use them. So the question is, well, how do I conclude then? How do people know I'm done? That's why people say questions, is because that's the last thing you're going to say is questions. Instead, what do you want them to leave with? It's all of those things that you put on the footer of every single other slide. It's going to be your name. It's going to be your institution. It's going to be your email address, your website, Twitter handle if you have it, so that you can continue these conversations. You can answer the questions right then. You can say questions, but then you can have those questions that happen long after you exit this room, because people can follow up with you. So like I said, here are our four. I'm sorry that I had to rush through these so quickly. Thanks for sticking with them on this. I've got lots of other links to great presentations on how to give presentations. So you already saw part of Presentation Jedi. I encourage you to watch the whole thing, and it's just flipping through slides. It's not a video. You just flip through their slides. Fix Your Really Bad PowerPoint by Seth Godin, who's one of my favorite marketers that I read. 8 Tips for an Awesome PowerPoint Presentation. It's got great recommendations that goes more in depth on selecting fonts, how to polish your bad PowerPoint slides, and what would Steve do. And this gets into a couple of the things that this presentation wasn't focused on at all, which is how do you structure a presentation? How do you put together your narrative? How do you present your idea in a way that's compelling? There are lots of things that I wish I could have covered that are more technical. I haven't covered whether you use standard or 16:9 orientation, how to use videos, how to use animations. If you have those questions and you have a specific thing that you want to know, in our comment box, write it down on one of your pieces of paper on your pad, put it in the box, and as I get time, I will add responses to those on the GRITS website, so you can kind of see some follow-up examples of ways that we can continue this conversation and do great things. Thank you. Questions?